3, it talks about nothing in this chapter shall be construed to permit or require the reservation use or take of private property for scenic, fishery, wildlife, or recreation purposes, or inclusion in the system, or for other public use. That sounds pretty nice. Oh, I forgot part of it. Without just compensation. So what AB 975 does, it expands from the immediate environment to a quarter mile on either side of the river, and it also, I think, part of the problem is, what's the definition of river? I mean, so basically, you go, any stream that flows into that river could be construed river. And this allows them to take it for scenery, whatever purposes, and pay you what they think is just compensation.
I have a question behind here, Barbara. Name and question addressed to whomever on the board.
Country resident. I guess it's to either Lynn Morgan or Country Village. 8975 kind of stands as it is written in your two-lane terminology. What is the length of it?
The length of it?
The length of your proposal. How many miles?
Ted, the bill doesn't pertain to miles of river. It doesn't specifically pertain to, it would apply to every designated California Wild and Scenic River as of today and going forward. I think I have a fact sheet here that says how many miles of wild and scenic rivers there are in California, so if you'd like that.
I'm asking about
It's actually, it's not, it has nothing to do with the McCullum River because the McCullum is not a designated wild and scenic
I
river.
realize that.
If the McCullum were designated wild and scenic, if the only portions of the river that we have worked for state law to get designated wild and scenic are the miles between Salt Springs and the flood surcharge pool of Carnegie Reservoir, which is about 37 miles.
37 miles.
More or less, it depends on if there are gaps. The legislation that was introduced in 2014, there were gaps around Roaring Calf, and there are other gaps. It's roughly 37 miles. There are 1,235 miles of state designated wild and scenic rivers. Well, no, there are 1,362 miles of state designated rivers, and 1,235 miles have the dual federal state protection.
Thank you. We have a question that won't need a microphone because I have this one.
A couple of years ago, there was not this. Don't. Doris Day. A couple of years ago, I was here about the wild and scenic. There was no quarter mile. Are you going to be back in a couple of years, or a year or two, for another half mile, 5 miles, 10 miles? Where does this stop?
Well, I'll tell you this. First of all, this isn't my legislation. Okay, 8975. I didn't help write it. I didn't know it. I am a part of Pluto Conservancy. I am not Friends of the River. Friends of the River is a sponsored bill. Pluto Conservancy does support the bill. We were not consulted prior to its introduction. We were informed about it later. And as far as, what the purpose of the bill is to help conform the state law to the federal law. The federal law has a quarter-mile corridor in it. The quarter-mile corridor has been federal law for 49 years. I haven't heard of anyone ever trying to change it. So I'm not interested in trying to change it either.
Yes, they might be able to do that.
So
I'm sorry, excuse me.
The question is, I'm going to give you the question. The question is that a yes or a no?
We don't intend to come back and ask for a water river corridor then.
Okay, thank you. Any more questions to the audience? We are going to spend a little bit of time for the bark beetle issue that you brought up, sir, and that'll happen after we're done here. What I'd like to do now, and make sure the switch is on, is, there's 7 people on the panel. Would you each take no more than perhaps a minute and highlight 1 or 2 of your points you made this evening for the audience as we go? Well, let's just start right down at the far end there with the microphone, and we'll come this way. 1 minute.
Well, the main thing that I would be concerned about is who's going to define what. Like I said earlier, in the federal lands, a stream course is not the same as in Webster's dictionary. If it's running water at any time in its history is considered a stream course under federal designation. Webster says it has to be regulated as a stream course. So who's going to determine that is critical, and I can answer that pretty much. I think it will be administrative officials within the government. That's my main concern.
Thank you.
As county assessor, I want to reiterate, I am not for this, I am not against this. It's something that I'm just going to be watching. And because of Prop 13, if by chance this makes property values go up, good for you, your assessment won't. It'll only go up as a maximum of 2%. If by chance it affected properties negatively and made the value go down, it would affect your assessment, and we would lower the assessment. And I think that's about as simple as it gets. So essentially, in my little world, you don't have anything to worry about. If you ever have questions, please call the office. And
My little world.
that's all I have. Brian?
Thank you.
You're a hard act to follow, Jim. You know, I would feel, go back to something I seen, we saved the spotted owl. And I look what we've done in our forest, and I had a lot of conversations with Hilton over the years when we would both go and cry on each other's shoulders what we saw happen in our forest, what we saw was going to happen. We saw this before the power fire came, we saw it before the butte fire came, the sand fire, the rim fire, and I could go on and on. We're not managing our forest the way we should. I think what we're doing in the Macomb River is going to add to that even more long-term. We won't do fire reduction activities there. I think we'll make a big mistake. So it's not going to help us. It's not good for us. And you can't put a dam in California almost without an act of God. So I don't see why you need legislation, because it's not going to happen without everybody sitting at the table saying, yes, we'll do it. It's not happening.
My concern is that why is someone proposing new legislation? Wild and Scenic's been in place for 45 years or so. Why are they proposing new legislation? It's because that new legislation will give the state regulators more control over land, rivers, and the areas surrounding these rivers. It changes the definition, expands that definition of what a wild and scenic river is from what it is now to what they want, which is just about any piece of moving water in the state. You can read it right there, section 509 3.50. It spells it out clearly in the definition. It also, it very strictly prohibits building any further dams across our rivers.
I'd like to be able to support the Forest Service, because they had a forest management plan in 93 and 94, but they got sued by the environmentalists that would not let them remove any trees too thin and stopped a lot of lumber and timber. So that caused a lot of overgrowth of trees, which took away the water, and then they were stressed, and then the bugs got them, and then the fires came. Anyhow, the Resource Agency under 5093.60 shall be responsible for coordinating the activities of state agencies whose activities affect the rivers in the system with those of other state, local, and federal agencies. That means all I call them the sister agencies, the wildlife and fish and wildlife agency, the biodiversities, and what we see is basically overreach by government coming to take our water and land.
This AB 975 would greatly expand the eligible rivers in California for designation as wild and scenic. The state has already said that we have 6.5 trillion gallons of water that's irrecoverable because of wild and scenic designations. We just finished a 4-year drought. Even the governor has told us that the next drought may be right around the corner. There needs to be a balance between wild and scenic rivers with human needs, energy, food, and ecosystem needs. And I believe that what we've got has worked well for the last 45 years, and that AB 975 is not needed.
I just want to thank you again for inviting me to speak. I actually invited you when I heard that this was on the agenda. 8970, I was asked to come, and I volunteered to come and talk about 8975. I tried to come here and tell you about what the facts of the bill are. And if you want to read the bill language, I have it up on my computer. I'll hang around and show it to you. So you can see what it's highlighted, what's in the bill, it's highlighted, and you can tell what's in the existing law versus what's in the bill. I'd be happy to come and express my opinion on why I think the McCullough should be a wild and scenic river some other time, but I came and tried to give you the facts today, and I've got factual printouts that you can read, and I encourage you to read the bill, follow the bill, opine about it to your county supervisors, water agency, and assemblyman. I happen to think Assemblyman Bigelow is a very honorable and effective legislator. Just want to close by saying that, you know, I love the McCullough River. I spend a lot of time there, and I think it's worth protecting. But I think what's really important is that when things like this are under consideration, you look at the facts of the matter and not let bigger issues or broader ideology influence you. Look at what bills really do and don't say. And I say this as a 15-year retired state publications editor who spent her career interpreting law and regulation. Thank you.
Well, again, I appreciate that this conversation has gone on. It's no surprise, shouldn't be a surprise to anybody, because I was very clear about it when I was campaigning, that I am very in favor of the wild and scenic designation. I do not really understand, nor do I I don't really understand the reason that this bill was put forward. And in a way, I agree with Rich that I don't really see the importance of it compared to the state law that's already there. I would just like to continue to protect and to guarantee we don't have any more. You know, we already have 14 dams on the Colony River. To me, that's enough. I would like to protect the river more fully for my grandchildren and future generations. Thank you.
With that, my personal observation was that I've had an easier time from time to time with mass arrests, riots, and drug raids than perhaps I had this evening. And that's just kind of a jest. I'd like to sincerely thank all of the members of the panel, and a special compliment to the audience, because the concerns that I had that this thing might get out of hand were not valid. It didn't happen. So my thanks to each and every one of you in the audience. And again, if you would, a round of applause for our panelists this evening. Now I'm going to tap at least one of my county supervisors who happens to have a little expertise in the area of